Hey, I'm Jess Paul of RockItOut. I am so happy to introduce the guy who has been filming one of the most reputable rock news shows for 2 years. He is one of the most acknowledged rock reporters on YouTube. His name is Sami Jarroush, and I am so happy to be talking to him via satellite or speakerphone, whatever you want to call it. Sami, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. Wow, what an intro. I'm very honored to be on RockItOut. What's going on?
I want to congratulate you on your recent 21,000 subscribers.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's that was pretty cool to hit, man. That's a pretty cool number, and you know, we can only hope to get many more in the future.
Rock fan to rock fan, what is on your MP3 player right now that you can't get enough of?
On my MP3 player right now, well, being that this weekend it's the 40th anniversary of the death of Jimi Hendrix. I'm just rocking a lot of Hendrix this weekend, man. A lot of you know, classics like Red House and Hey Joe and Voodoo Child, Purple Haze, obviously the Star Spangled Banner, little Manic Depression, some, you know, like just this weekend I've designated solely for Hendrix in honor of the man, the myth, and the legend.
Well, speaking of that, are there any new releases that you're really excited about? Maybe you've been talking about, maybe I've been talking about on my show.
New releases, let's see. I just went and picked up, what did I just recently pick up? I got the new Weezer album, Hurley. I went and picked up the new Linkin Park album. I just actually saw Linkin Park in concert a few days ago here in New York, and they killed it, man. They put on a damn good show. I mean, like, you may not be like a fan of the album as a whole because it may not be what you want Linkin Park to be, which is like, you know, just super distorted, in your face, balls to the wall rock music like on their, you know, previous albums like Hybrid Theory and a little bit of Meteora. But they put on a really good show, man, and they definitely bring like that noise that you really expect from them in their live performance.
You went to school for journalism, and that's what you wanted to do with the rest of your life. Was it always about rock music? Was it always going to be rock music, or did that click at some part of you going to school and going for journalism?
A quick history: went to school of journalism, had a radio show in college for 3 years, and played, you know, mostly rock music, but tried to keep it as eclectic as possible. A little bit of hip hop, a little bit of, you know, dance music and whatnot. Graduated Rutgers. About 6 months out of school, started working at Sirius Satellite Radio. Was a producer for a talk show called The Covino and Rich Show, which is still on the air today. Did that for about 2 years. Moved on and started hosting my own show at Fuse. I did that for about 4 or 5 months. It was a show called Number One Countdown Rock. I got to talk to a bunch of bands that came into the studio, like Shinedown, and who else came in? Shinedown, Buckcherry, Theory of a Dead Man, Dragon Force, and at the same time I got to host a show that counted down the top 10 rock videos in the country, which is always a good time. Finished up that gig, you know, started, you know, screwing around with some other things, started DJing in the city for a couple of years, and honestly the RockItOutBlog happened just because I was just really bored. I was just sitting on my couch one day at home, and you know, I was like, you know, I was like perusing through YouTube, finding some, you know, videos of people just talking to the camera about stuff. You know, it didn't really matter what it was, and they were getting views. And I'm like, all right, well, let me talk about what I'm passionate about and see if that works. And so I did an episode of the RockItOutBlog. I talked about, it wasn't even all about rock. I talked about like AC/DC's Black Ice coming out on vinyl, and I think how badly the Cubs were sucking that year, and the playoffs against the Dodgers, and how they were going to try to remake the Partridge Family on NBC. That was my first episode. So it really wasn't about rock and roll. And then like I started doing more and more videos as I noticed people actually started watching and subscribing to the channel, and you know, before you know it, you know, you hit 500 subscribers, and you hit 1,000, then 2,000, and then after I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm like, all right, let me apply for this partner program. Did that, got accepted to the program, so now I'm like, all right, now I'm actually gonna start making money on this, so maybe I should actually try to put more time and attention to it, and I did. I, you know, made it a 5-day-a-week thing, and people kept watching.
You pretty much deal with rock music almost like 12 hours a day. However, like all day, because you do work at ABC Radio, and then you come home and you give us the RockItOut blog. what is the major difference, if you're dealing with rock all day, what's the major difference between, being at the office, being at the ABC studio, and being at home with us, with RockItOutBlog?
Difference between ABC and RockItOutBlog. Well, first of all, ABC, I have an office. I get a lunch break. I get paid, which is definitely the bigger difference. I mean, I make some money on RockItOutBlog, but like not enough to say like, oh, I don't need a job or anything. I'm not making like like Shane Dawson money yet. Here's hoping. But no, the main difference is that ABC, when you're reporting for a legitimate news organization, you have to be very. I'm saying you can't be objective in your writing or in your reporting. You just have to state the facts. In other words, I can't sit down in ABC and write a story about Metallica and write something like Metallica, whose last album Saint Anger sucked balls. I mean, I can't write that because that's just not what people want to read or people want to hear. My job is to give facts. At RockItOutBlog, I'm allowed to let myself go a little bit. I'm allowed to unleash like my actual opinion.
With both RockItOutBlog and ABC, you get the opportunity to literally talk to and interview so many awesome bands. Like already that I know, you've interviewed some of my favorite bands from Eagles of Death Metal to Rivers Cuomo, Weezer. So do you have a favorite interview you've ever done?
My favorite interview that I've ever done would probably have to be a RockItOutBlog interview, and it was with Oderus Urungus, the lead singer of the band Gwar, because I literally walked into the room, set up the camera, sat down, we filmed for 10 minutes straight, and when I came back to my home to edit the interview, I may have made only 2 cuts in the whole interview, and then the rest I just let go, because the guy was just so insane. He was so off the cuff, he was so ridiculous and so hilarious that I'm like, I can't edit any of this. This is perfect all the way through. That would probably have to be the most memorable interview, and I think if I get the opportunity to interview Gwar again, I happily would try to talk to Oderus, because he's probably one of my most fun interviews.
You're from Illinois, right?
I'm originally from Illinois, yeah.
Okay. So what's the difference between living in Illinois and working in Illinois and working in NYC?
Well, I don't really know if I can actually give that comparison, considering that I lived in Illinois until I was 17, then I graduated high school, and then I moved out to Jersey for school, and then to start pursuing a career. I like working in New York is just like it's 2 things. It's amazing, but it's also a pain in the ass, because if you get to New York, if you get the opportunity to work in New York City and you start working at something and you eventually hit in whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, New York City is the place to be, because you're gonna get all, you'll make all the right connections, you'll talk to all the right people, you'll have the most fun, because it's a city that's constantly moving, there's always some type of activity going, whether it's in Manhattan or whether it's in like one of the boroughs, if it's in Brooklyn or if it's in Queens or if it's in the Bronx, even if it's at like a Yankees game or something like that, So New York, definitely fast-paced, definitely a lot of fun. You definitely have to keep hard to, or you have to work hard, I should say, to keep moving with it. But at the same time, it's a curse, because there's so many people that are trying to work in New York, and there are so many people that are trying to do, they're trying to live out their dream. And sadly, not everybody makes it. Now, like, a lot of people will try their hardest, but they might not just have that one little X factor that might propel them to that next level, or they're just not trying too hard because it becomes too much of a burden to work in New York City. I don't know how I've done it, but I've been lucky enough to actually hang out in New York ever since I graduated from college, and I don't plan on leaving because I love the city too much. It's too much fun, and it really is like the best place to try and make your name, man, to try and leave a small mark.
Well, so you work in NYC all day. What about on your day off? Where would we find you if you're walking down the streets of NYC? Where's your hangout spot, man? Where do you love to be? In like the Lower East Side of New York, you'll find me in probably like the East Village of New York, like primarily the Lower East Side, like that Ludlow Street scene. Like I like going to like the smaller venues that are there, like Pianos, Mercury Lounge, Fontana's.
let's see, the living room, just these smaller lounges and these smaller venues that you can go and see these bands that are starting to, you know, come up in music, and you get a chance to see them in a very intimate setting where you can maybe have like only like, you know, anywhere from like 15 to 100 people in the room only. And then also I've started hanging out in Brooklyn a lot more, Williamsburg. I know that's like the place that, you know, a lot of rockers hate because that's where all the hipsters hang out, but I have a lot of friends that run websites out of Brooklyn. Guys like A Consequence of Sound, Some Kind of Awesome. I mean, they run websites out of Brooklyn, and they've become close friends of mine. So I'll go and hang out with them and just, you know, go get like a vegan cupcake or something and a PBR to wash it down. And yeah, I think that's where you'll find me in New York, yeah.
A vegan cupcake, I love that. I want to try that now.
You know what, they're actually really tasty. You would not think, like if I handed you a vegan cupcake, you wouldn't know it. Like I give it to you and you'd be like, this is delicious. Nay, this is delectable.
Yeah, like,
and you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know.
Well, that's good. I mean, like the image is not good, but I'm going to trust you on that. I'm going to have to try one. Okay, so now, speaking of bands, as if we haven't been speaking of bands and music the entire interview, besides you reporting on music, you also play the guitar. Am I right?
I do. I dabble. I dabble a little bit.
What's your favorite song or band to cover?
When I was first starting to play guitar, I started just trying to learn as many Radiohead songs as I could. Stuff primarily off the bends, like Fake Plastic Trees or High and Dry or Bulletproof, I Wish I Was. Those songs like were just so cool, and like Radiohead is the band that got me into rock music. So I tried to learn as many of their songs as I could.
So now, I did something. You sometimes give a salute to people you respect by opening up a can and toasting to them. You did it in your last Jimi Hendrix, and you've done it before. So,
yeah.
Since I'm not allowed to drink alcohol because I'm only 20 years old and, you know, can't do that, I got a Starbucks double shot can, and I'm going to pop it off to you, man. And
thank you.
Oh my God, that's strong. You and your beer, my God, this is like, try chugging this. I bet you couldn't, man.
Bet you I couldn't either, and I'm not gonna try, which is why I'm gonna let you do it, and I'm just gonna sit back here and giggle.
I will chug it in your name later.
Alright, sit down, just take a breather, you'll be okay.
So guys, this was the awesome review with Sami Jarroush of the RockItOutBlog. Thank you so much, Sami, for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me, man. This was definitely awesome and definitely a new experience.
I'll see all you guys later. Peace, love, rock and roll, so you don't freak out. See ya, homies.
That's cool. Alright, yeah. Alright, I totally. Okay, so you're just ripping off a Ben. Okay, that's awesome.
No, you know they're one of my favorites, and it was kind of an homage, and now everybody knows that.